2025 has unleashed some of the most terrifying horror films we've seen in years. Movies that don't just make you jump, but stay with you long after the credits roll. From chilling sequels that outshine their predecessors to fresh nightmares no one saw coming, this year has it all. So today, we're counting down the top 10 best horror movies of 2025. Stay with us till the end, because our number one pick might just be the scariest film of the decade. Let's dive in. At number 10, we have The Conjuring, Last Rites, which comes in with an IMDb rating of 6.4. Set in 1986, this chilling chapter follows paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren as they travel to Pennsylvania to face a terrifying new case, an ancient demon tormenting an unsuspecting family. The film delivers that signature Conjuring mix of jump scares, atmospheric tension, and unsettling spiritual warfare. While reviews were mixed, many fans see it as a haunting farewell to one of horror's most iconic sagas, closing the Warren story with both heart and horror. But the scares don't stop here, because our next entry takes the terror in a completely different direction. At number 9, we have The Monkey, sitting at an IMDb rating of 5.9. The story begins when twin brothers Hal and Bill stumble upon their father's old toy monkey in the attic. What first seems like a relic of the past quickly turns into a nightmare, because with every clanging cymbal of the toy, another chilling death follows. Desperate to escape the curse, the brothers throw the monkey away and part ways. But evil has a way of finding its way back. Soon, the cycle of terror begins again, leaving them to confront a darkness they can't escape. Creepy, relentless, and filled with that unsettling sense of inevitability, The Monkey taps into our childhood fears and turns them into something truly sinister. But while cursed toys are terrifying, nothing compares to the ruthless creativity of death itself. Which brings us to number 8, a franchise that has mastered turning fate into pure horror. At number 8, we have Final Destination, Bloodlines, which holds an IMDb rating of 6.7. This new chapter in the legendary franchise follows a college student haunted by violent, recurring nightmares. Fearing for her family, she sets out to track down the one person who might hold the key to breaking the cycle of death itself. But as fans of Final Destination know all too well, death is never cheated so easily. The film delivers exactly what audiences crave: grisly, inventive set pieces and that dreadful anticipation of who's next. With a mix of nostalgia and fresh terror, Bloodlines proves the series still knows how to keep us gripping the edge of our seats. And speaking of long-awaited returns, at number 7 we're diving into a sequel that fans have been waiting decades for. One that resurrects a world overrun by rage. At number 7, we have one of the most anticipated horror sequels of the decade, 28 years later, with an IMDb rating of 6.7. Nearly 3 decades have passed since the rage virus first escaped a biological weapons lab, and humanity is still living under ruthless quarantine. On a small island linked to the mainland by a single, heavily guarded causeway, a group of survivors cling to a fragile existence. But when one of them dares to cross into the mainland, he uncovers a terrifying mutation, one that doesn't just infect the living, but changes the very survivors who thought they were safe. Brutal, relentless, and hauntingly atmospheric, 28 years later doesn't just revisit the nightmare, it mutates it into something far more terrifying. And speaking of reimagined nightmares, at number 6, we're stepping into the hands of a master director, who breathes new life into one of horror's most iconic monsters. At number 6, we have Frankenstein, with an IMDb rating of 7.2. In this chilling reimagining of Mary Shelley's classic, a brilliant but egotistical scientist dares to defy nature itself, bringing a monstrous creature to life. What begins as a triumph of ambition quickly unravels into tragedy, as both the creator and his creation spiral toward a fate neither can escape. Visually stunning and emotionally devastating, this version of Frankenstein isn't just about a monster, it's about the dangers of unchecked obsession and the haunting price of playing God. But if Frankenstein showed us the horror of creation, our next film takes us into something far more intimate, a nightmare that explores the terror of being bound together when survival itself is at stake. At number 5, we have Together, holding an IMDb rating of 6.8. Years into their relationship, Tim and Millie make a bold move to the countryside, leaving behind everything familiar, except each other. But peace quickly turns into terror when a mysterious, unnatural force begins to invade their lives. What starts as tension and friction between them escalates into a nightmarish struggle, threatening not just their love, but their very bodies. Intimate, intense, and disturbingly personal, together proves that horror doesn't always come from the outside, it can seep in from the deepest corners of the human heart. And speaking of fear that's impossible to escape, at number 4, we're dialing up the terror with a sequel that literally makes you wish you never heard the phone ring. At number 4, we have Black Phone 2, which holds an impressive IMDb rating of 9.2, though keep in mind, very few have rated it so far. 15-year-old Gwen is plagued by terrifying dreams, receiving cryptic calls from the Black Phone while witnessing disturbing visions of 3 boys being stalked at a winter camp. Determined to uncover the truth, she and her brother Finn travel to the camp, only to face the grabber, a killer who has grown even more powerful in death. With spine-chilling suspense and a relentless killer that feels unstoppable, Black Phone 2 turns every call, every shadow, and every silence into pure terror. And if you thought surviving the grabber was terrifying, at number 3, we meet a story that takes horror into the realm of the supernatural in a way that will leave you questioning what's really gone beyond the grave. At number 3, we have Bring Her Back, which comes in with an IMDb rating of 7.2. In this chilling tale, a brother and sister are thrust into a nightmare when they witness a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. What starts as unsettling curiosity quickly spirals into a fight for survival, as dark forces begin to close in around them. Filled with tense suspense, haunting visuals, and a sense of dread that lingers long after the screen goes dark, Bring Her Back is a supernatural horror experience that keeps you on edge from start to finish. And if you thought the terror couldn't get any darker, at number 2, prepare to confront a horror that challenges morality itself, pushing its characters and viewers to their absolute limits. At number 2, we have Sinners, holding an IMDb rating of 7.6. Twin brothers, hoping to leave their troubled past behind, return to their Mississippi hometown seeking a fresh start. But instead of peace, they find that an even greater evil has been waiting for them all along. Every step they take toward redemption only drags them deeper into a nightmare they can't escape. Dark, gripping, and morally unsettling, Sinners proves that some horrors aren't just supernatural. They're rooted in the choices we can't outrun. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. At number 1, prepare yourself for a film so terrifying, so relentless, that it will redefine fear itself. Weapons. And finally, at number 1, we have Weapons, with an IMDb rating of 7.6. In a chilling mystery that will keep you on the edge of your seat, all but one child from the same classroom vanish on the same night, at exactly the same time. As panic spreads through the community, questions mount: who or what is behind these disappearances? Weapons masterfully combines suspense, mystery, and horror, keeping viewers guessing until the very end. With every revelation, the tension escalates, making this a story that lingers in your mind long after the credits roll. This is horror at its most relentless, and it's why Weapons takes our top spot for the best horror movie of 2025. And there you have it. The top 10 best horror movies of 2025. From haunted dolls and cursed toys to supernatural rituals and unspeakable mysteries, this year has delivered scares for every kind of horror fan. Which of these films terrified you the most? Or is there another 2025 horror you think deserved a spot on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this countdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the scariest, most thrilling movies out there. And remember, keep the lights on, and don't answer any unexpected calls tonight.